Good morning. As we reflect on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day, his birthday, and what his life and example means to so many of us, I was reminded of a quote, probably one of the most profound quotes I've ever heard in my life, that I heard a couple of years ago during a virtual speech, and it was a guy named Chip Baker was speaking, and he asked the question, are you leaving a legacy or are you living a legacy? And I'll tell you, that was probably one of the most profound questions I've ever heard somebody ask. Are you leaving a legacy or are you living it every single day? As I reflected yesterday and as I reflect today on Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. King's life and example that he said, it strikes me. We know about the big moments in his life. We know about those and his example that he set, but he lived his legacy every single day. And it was in those quiet moments that I think probably Dr. King showed up best. And I was actually talking to someone last week in our career community, actually a couple weeks ago, in our career community, and he said to me a story about his son had tried really, really, really hard to train for a cross country meet. And as hard as he trained and as much as he loved it, he didn't win. And the member of our community said to me, Cicely, in that moment, I had an opportunity to teach him probably one of the most valuable lessons I'd ever teach him about winning and what it means to love something even if you don't win. And I said to him, your son's going to remember this conversation and this lesson you're going to teach him long after this conversation is over. So you have a chance to live a legacy every day with family, with friends, with coworkers, and I'll even go to another example as to why chips, are you living a legacy or are you leaving it, struck me so hard. I was reminded last night as I was thinking of how do we show up every day in the quiet moments? How do we how do we live that legacy every single day? Then I was reminded at probably the lowest point in my career when I was fired from my job in June of 2018. About a week later, I got a text message and it's still on my phone. I found it last night as I was kind of thinking of what am I doing to live my legacy every day. And it was from the security guard in our building, someone I talked to for probably 2 or 3 years. And every morning it was, how are you doing today? She was the first person I saw in the morning because I was usually the first person in the office and she was the last person I talked to every night. But it was, how's your day? Hey, I'm grabbing a cup of coffee. Do you need something? Or I'm grabbing a sandwich. Can I bring you lunch? I remember that she was gone for a couple of days back to her home country, and we didn't know where she went, and her sister had passed. And we gave her flowers when she returned, and she cried. Guys, I didn't think anything about those moments, but a week after I was fired, I got a text message from her that said to me, I don't care what they say about you, I know who you are. I know the impact you've had on me. I've seen you serve others when people were not watching. She said, so keep going. Keep doing your thing. Don't let anybody else impact you. And I will tell you, at the lowest moment of my professional career, receiving a text message from somebody, I don't even know how she got my phone number. Guys, the small moments matter. And I found her a year later. I tracked her down here in DC. And I said to her, that message meant more to me. She had more of an impact on me than I ever had on her. So it strikes me that people want to be seen and heard in small moments, and that Dr. King did that every day for the people of this country that he was trying to help. Even the most powerful people want to be seen and heard. I was interviewing the owner of the number one restaurant in the world on my podcast a couple of months ago. And I thought, how in the world did I get this interview? I'm so not qualified to talk to this guy. And there was one sentence in his book that I asked him a question about, the very last question on the podcast. I think it was episode 13 that we did. And he paused, and I thought, oh crap, I asked him a question he didn't want to answer. And he paused and he said, I've never felt more heard or seen in this moment. And I walked away thinking, even the most powerful people want to be seen and heard, don't they? We all want to be seen and heard. So listen, I tell you those examples, not that I get it right every day or you get it right every day, But it strikes me that Dr. King calls us to live a legacy every single day. Don't leave it when you're gone. Live it every single day in those quiet moments of interactions, of questions, of can I get you a cup of coffee, to somebody who maybe doesn't get that question that often. I posted last year on MLK Day, nothing changes if nothing changes. Don't just post about MLK Day. What are we doing to live the legacy and the example? What are we doing to mimic his example every single day? So that's the question I'll leave you with this morning. That's the question I'm challenging myself with today. This is not a day off from work. This is a day to ask ourselves that he lived big in those big moments, but the everyday moments, he lived his legacy and made it count. The question I'll ask you, are you living the legacy or are you leaving it? Are you making it count every single day?